last time on Curse of Strahd, a lot of things happened. So basically, to fill in Sindra, aka McKenna, the party completed the terrifying haunted death house, and everyone was awarded inspiration. So the party has inspiration for laying to rest the bones of the children. You were there for that part, right? For finding the kids? Yes, okay. And basically, we found the kids' bones and delivered them to the crypts safely and laid them to rest. So the party got inspiration for that. The party found basically a horrifying cult in the dungeon and also almost awoke a terrifying heap of garbage, and didn't, luckily. But the cult basically wanted the party to appease them by killing a creature, and they would not be fooled by illusions. So Kane used his owl familiar and actually killed it, resummoned it later. But the party appeased the cult, which is an important factoid to note. The party had an option to appease the cult or potentially run away and try to flee the scene. Party chose to appease the cult to not have scary things happen, which is taken note of by the realm. The realm has taken notice that the party appeased the cult by killing a creature. And Strahd has noticed this too, even though we don't know who Strahd or what Strahd is. He has taken note of this piece of information, and it will matter. So with all of that, you guys finally cleared the death house, the scary place, come back outside, and everything seems normal. And Rutka is there waiting for you. And he's kind of like sitting there out on the porch, and the illusionary children, who were illusionary but also real, they were put forth by the house to lure you inside, are gone. They are no longer there. And Rutka is just sitting there like very confused, like what the hell happened? What happened?
You're muted, by the way, McKenna.
Oopsies. Again.
What happened in there? He asks the party.
None of your business. Let's move on.
Plenty. More than we care to discuss at the moment.
Raka shrugs his shoulders. All right, then.
Perhaps if you'd have joined us, you would know a bit more about what had happened.
He looks at you with squinted eyes and says, I do not like to entangle myself in the affairs of the Peruvians.
Very well, then entangle yourself no further.
Shall we proceed?
We shall.
Okay, so you guys head back towards the barrel-covered caravans, I presume. And as you are approaching the barrel-covered caravans, you hear that crying noise come back that you heard when you first came to the city. There's a sort of sobbing, weeping, harrowing sound that's coming from, it's hard to pinpoint where, but somewhere through the street.
Ratka, what did you do with the children?
Raka says that they disappeared. I figured it had something to do with you.
That is an odd accusation.
And Raka turns to you all and he says, my thoughts, they're colored with sadness. Do you all hear that?
Yes. The crying.
More like a moaning sob. He shrugs his shoulders again and heads back to the caravan.
This fucking guy.
Do we want to go investigate the crime? That's what we set out to do originally, right?
Yeah, we
Apparently,
found
my
something
friends, we have
good.
not solved the mystery of the crying. So
For some reason, I really thought that the crying was from the kids we found, and my brain just accepted that.
No, the crying was actually not Rose and Thorn. They were not crying when you found them. She was like shushing her brother. But the crying was actually coming, echoing from somewhere else throughout the gray street.
Of course.
Mhm.
I really want to figure out where this crying is coming from. The crying bothers Doug.
I think, Remus is going to follow Zug, assuming Zug just kind of walk towards it.
Yeah, so you guys can make your way towards where it sounds like the crying is coming from. I'll take a perception check.
Yep, I'll do the same.
22.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
critical fail.
19.
Zug's just like looking back at the house, like, is it coming from in there?
I lift a rock up and I'm like, nope, not here.
Not
Only-
here.
Only 15.
Okay, so Rami begins to sort of lead by instinct, and you guys head south from where you came in. So you guys actually came into the town approximately, and you can tell that you guys are not directionally challenged as a party, as an adventuring group. You guys came in from the like northeast area, and so you guys went straight south, and the creepy house was on your left. And you can hear that the sound is coming from a little bit. You can continue down the street south. And as you round the bend to your west and you start traveling west, you can start to pinpoint the sound a little bit better. As you walk through the town, there are many houses. The streets are gray. The houses are all dark gray, like gray, just shades of gray. Might say 50 shades of gray, maybe more like 100 shades of gray. There are a lot of shades of gray. And you guys
Sounds like a
walk
gray
along
area.
the uneven cobbles, noticing the eerie houses, most of them with rusty portholes in front, rusty iron fences. And as you continue on, you notice a few buildings that sort of stand out. As you walk down the town on your left, you notice a building with a sparse light. None of the other houses really have light coming from them. They're all dark. Most of the windows boarded up. You don't know if anyone lives in any of these houses. It's almost impossible to tell. But there's one large building. It's about 70 feet long. And there's a sparse light from inside of the building that is spilling out beyond some drawn heavy curtains. And over the door in front, there is a sign creaking on its hinges that reads Bildrath's Mercantile. And to you all, it appears as if it's a market. And you can hear that the moaning sound, the sobbing sound, is coming from south of the Mercantile. You guys want to keep heading towards the crying sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Okay.
the overall quality of light around? Like, is it
Is
dusk?
it twilight? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
You mean just like in general, like where you
Yeah,
guys
what-
are?
what's going on in this town?
It's very foggy, so it's daytime, but very little light gets through the mist and the fog. So everything looks surprisingly gray. There is a gust of wind that blows around the fog and the mist, but it never clears it out.
What is our like visible distance? Like, how far in front of us can we see through the fog?
Probably about 20 to 30 feet with all the mist and fog.
You guys don't want to check out the shop? Find it a little odd that that's the only like place with a light on.
I'm down to check it. If it looks like it's alive.
Yeah, it does. It looks, it's sparsely lit, but lit nonetheless. Nowhere else in the town that you've seen so far seems to have any light emanating from it whatsoever.
Let's see if this shopkeeper has more of concern for the crying than Ratka, friends.
Sure.
Good one, Ramis.
Kane is even more raspy than normal.
By the way, Rotka has headed back to the caravan. He is not coming with you.
Kane's had
Mm.
a long ass day.
He's
so
not
glad to
interested
talk
in whatever you're doing in this town.
So yeah, I can lead the party into the mercantile.
Okay. As you open the creaky door, more light fills the room. And there's a man standing behind a counter. And he's a male human as far as you can tell. And he looks at you and he gruffly kind of like grunts like, and goes back to like what he was doing before, which was like polishing I don't know, a vase.
Rumis is going to scan the wares. Look at it.
Yeah, so you scan the wares as you look through the walls of the shop. It's a pretty large building, actually. It's about 70 feet long and about 40 feet depth. And you see lots of items, lots of adventuring gear, so things that you might expect in a shop. Bildrath mercantile sells arrows, needles, crossbow bolts, bullets.
Kane would like to
arcane-
prepare detect magic, by the way, so that I can see if
Sure.
anything sticks out.
Yeah.
I think Ramis will look and like kind of point at things and be like, friend, do you happen to have the source of a lady wailing in anguish?
The man looks up at you again, like gruffly, and he says, "That's Mary."
Tell me,
Mary who?
who is Mary?
Mad Mary.
She's mad.
She alive?
She's alive.
What else?
She's been wailing for days now.
What
You
do
know
you know
why.
about Mad Mary?
He says, "No clue. She's just started crying a few days ago."
Was she known as Mad Mary before the wailing?
Can I
He
roll
says,
inside to see if he's being
he
truthful?
says, "Nope, but now she is." You want to like perceive, like see if his motives are true.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and I think it's a perception check. There's got to be a better check than perception.
Wouldn't it be insight?
Wisdom?
Insight.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's a 20.
This man is for sure not lying to you. And you get the sense that he doesn't give a shit about you and wants you to buy stuff or go away.
I don't give a shit about him either. Do you know what drove Mad Mary mad?
He shrugs his shoulders. Can't say.
Does anyone else around here speak more words than yourself?
He says, "Nope. Nephew's in the back, but he might have less words than I do."
Is your nephew a mute?
He calls his nephew. He yells to the back of the shop and he says, "Periwimple, come out here. Deal with these folk."
Periwimple?
His name is Periwimple. And you can hear him coming before you see him. And this man is gigantic. He's like 7 feet tall and huge. He is just stacked. Yeah, he's gigantic. And he comes out and he looks at you guys and he cocks his head and he says,
The weather down there.
and he says, "Can I help you find something?"
My friend Periwinkle, most impressive entrance. We were curious what you know about Mad Mary.
Mary.
He you can literally see his muscles like rippling under his leather armor. And he just looks at you and he says, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Now, Periwinkle, we'll get to the fact that you are wearing armor later, but what do you mean you don't know what we are talking about? Your friend, your uncle here told us about it.
His uncle looks over at him and he says, "You know, the Mary, she keeps crying." And Periwinkle nods at his uncle and goes, "Yeah, Mary." And he looks back at you and he's like, "Can I help you find something?"
Yeah, Mary.
He says, "Mary, she's in that house." And he points behind him.
You know why she's crying?
He says, "No, but she's been crying a lot lately."
Has
Has
anybody gone to
anyone
check
gone?
on her?
Yeah.
He says, "I've been really busy here."
You seem like a very impressive lad. What say you to joining us and exploring for Mad Mary? It could be quite an adventure. This opportunity
smiles.
come along every day.
He smiles excitedly at you. And he looks over at his uncle, and his uncle looks at him and goes,
Can I roll persuasion if I say something to sweeten the deal?
Yes. Do it.
Periwinkle, do not deny fate, my friend. To become like us, I gesture at my friends, you must take some chances, even if it means going against your uncle's will.
Periwinkle's eyes are gleaming at the thought of adventuring.
There
looks
is
back at his
wisdom in
uncle.
those words.
And his uncle says, "Back to stalking, boy." And Periwinkle shrugs at you and turns around and walks back into the stockroom.
Wait, can I bring some dice into this somehow?
You can attempt to roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
The DC
You
is
need
quite
a
high.
He's quite high.
30.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it.
I
12.
assist.
Yes.
Is it the same like a persuasion check?
Yes, persuasion.
18.
And what did you roll?
I got a 12.
12. Periwinkle, as he heads back to the stockroom, turns around and looks at you guys, and then slowly turns back and continues walking towards the stockroom.
Oh.
It is a lost cause.
Okay, my friends.
So, and Bildrath is still, while he's polishing his vase and scrubbing it with a little microfiber cloth. It's not what he's scrubbing it with. But he looks up at you guys again and he's like, "Can I get you anything?"
What are you selling?
What are you
What are
selling?
you buying?
What are you
Magic
buying?
weapons.
What's that?
Magic weapons.
Did Kane see any magical items in the store?
No.
Okay.
And he basically points to some of his arcane items. He's got a crystal and an orb that are non-magical.
What about some
Uh,
plate mail?
Simple trinkets.
No.
Nothing
guys
of here of interest.
You guys need any crossbow bolts?
He does sell crossbow bolts.
Does he sell blades of any sort?
You see a wooden staff on the wall. But you do not see any blades. There's a pickaxe for mining.
Pickaxe.
What would we need mining for?
Maybe if we get stuck inside of a cave.
No.
Exactly.
Zug loses interest and heads out the door.
Yeah.
All right, you guys leave the mercantile and continue following your nose. And
Nose or ears?
your metaphorical nose. Your ears. And you guys arrive at the house right behind Bill Draft's mercantile, and the sobbing becomes much louder, and you can hear that it is for sure coming from this house that you are now standing in front of.
Who wants to meet Mad Mary?
Do you guys want me to investigate the house first?
should. Oh,
The
case
house
the
is
joint.
totally boarded up and barricaded from the inside.
Cool. All right.
Shot down.
Syndra, there is nothing you can crack on the outside to get a peek inside?
Would I know that, Danielle? Or is there a back entrance, so we're not just like busting in through the front door?
You circle around the house, and there is a window on the back side, but it is also boarded up.
Okay.
On the bright side, no one will be escaping past us without our intervention.
That's true. That's true.
Is that what we're worried about? Zug does not seem to be worried about that.
Zug will
Zug's never worried
proceed
about
to the front door.
Is he gonna open it?
I'm going to knock, actually. with my
What?
shield.
Oh,
That
okay.
doesn't sound right.
Okay. Zug knocks on the front door. How do you knock, Zug? Will you give me like a...
I'm going to
Yeah.
use my shield and bang like pretty hard on the door, because I assume the wailing is loud enough that
The sobbing is definitely like, it's not super loud, but it is very like potent.
yeah, it's penetrating the whole town. So
It is, yes.
yeah, so 3
Um,
swift knocks.
So you bang on the door with your shield, bam, 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 and you hear from the what sounds like the upstairs. It's a 2-story house. You hear the sobbing sort of increase, and get a little bit louder.
I kick
It's
the
mad.
You
door. I
kick it
kick the
down.
door. Yeah.
Give me
attempt to.
athletics check.
22.
Okay.
Nice.
So Zug does in fact kick the door down with style. Bam! Kicks it and it falls in. And you walk inside, and the downstairs of the house looks like it has been used recently, but it is a little bit tattered. And the sound of the crying is very clearly coming from the upstairs of the house.
Can we see the stairs? I mean, is the house large? Is it like a typical like smaller?
It's not
like...
too big. It's a townhouse. It's about 40 feet squared.
Okay.
It's just one giant room with stairs.
I would expect
The
a
downstairs
rectangle,
is
not a
not one
square.
giant room. There's like a kitchen. There's a whole bunch of rooms, but the main staircase is in the living room that you're in, that you walked into, the entryway.
I wanna proceed up the stairs.
Okay, Zug walks up the stairs, and
Yes,
the
we
doors.
have entered your abode. We are here to help.
You are my words. Thank you.
You okay? Yeah. So she doesn't necessarily hear you over the sound of her own crying. So you walk up the stairs. Boards creak under your feet as you walk up the stairs. And as you approach the top of the stairs, there's a couple of bedrooms. What you can only assume are bedrooms. Some of the doors are open. One of the doors is closed shut. and that is clearly where the sound is emanating from.
Can I take a quick look-see into the rooms that are open?
Yeah. So you look in one of the upstairs bedrooms that is open, and you see a small-ish bed, a bed that's like full size, twin to full size, and a bed locker at the foot of the bed. And there is a wardrobe in this room and an oil lamp.
Is it lit?
No,
No? Okay.
it's dark.
Are there any rooms with the door closed where the sound is not emanating from?
No.
Okay, so there's only 2 bedrooms, one that's open and one that's...
There's 2 bedrooms, one's open, one's closed, and there's another door that's open that looks like probably a wash closet.
I want to walk up to the door where I guess Mad Mary is in, and then I want to look at my group.
Okay, so Zug walks up to the door after inspecting the second bedroom and looks back at the party. And is the party behind him? You guys follow him up the stairs?
Yeah.
And what do you guys?
Am I getting the thumbs up?
He's getting a thumbs up. All
I'm
right,
gonna
they're
kick the
telling you
door
to go
down.
inside.
I'm gonna kick the door down.
Go on, Zug.
The door is not locked. You're gonna kick it down? Oh God.
You know what? Yes. This,
Oh no. Okay.
The wailing is getting
Zug's
on
been
Zug's
funded
nerve.
by the police.
Okay, so Zug, go ahead and roll a athletics check.
Critical fail.
Okay. So you literally kick the door and it just bangs really loudly and your foot kind of crunches a little bit. Ow! It hurts.
Is
your
she still
foot.
crying?
You stubbed your toe. Yes, she's letting out a wail even louder now.
Okay, I guess I'll try the doorknob this time.
All right, Zug's like hopping on one foot, like, ow, ow. And finally puts his, so I'm assuming you're right-footed, right foot back down, and turns the knob. The door is open, and you pull it open to reveal a woman who is sitting in the center of the floor of the bedroom, and she's clutching a malformed doll, and she is crying.
Malformed in what way?
It is wearing a sackcloth dress, and the malformed doll has sort of a strange leer about it. It doesn't look like like a normal doll. Like the eyes are not on the right places, and the nose is like off-centered, and the mouth is like too small for the rest of the face.
Gross.
I want to stand
Yeah.
to the side and motion my group inside.
Ramis throws on his top hat and walks into the room. Miss, it looks like your doll has gone awry. Can we help you?
She barely even recognizes that you've joined the room until you start yelling at her. And she looks up at you and at the party, and her eyes are just filled with sorrow. And she says, no one can help me. And she continues crying.
Please, what has happened?
She, while continuing to cry, just like sobbing and talking to you through halting sobs, she says, my daughter, Gertruda, she left the house. She broke out about a week ago, and I haven't seen her since. No one has. And she continues to sob.
Your daughter broke out of your house. Was she
Mad?
She continues crying and says, no, I I hid my beloved daughter here for her life, so she would be safe with me.
Safe from what?
She looks at you like very concerningly, like, how does he not know? Like, very confused by the fact that you've just asked this question. And she says, you are new here, aren't you?
I tip my top hat and say, was it not obvious?
She continues to cry. She says, there is nothing but despondency and sorrow to be found here. And she just keeps sobbing.
I do a flashy little jig and say, no, madame, we bring quite the opposite ourselves. Let us shine a light on your situation.
She says, I fear the worst for my dear Gertruda.
What
And
a lovely
she,
name.
what?
What a lovely name. We will help you find it.
The giggles.
as Syndra is like cackling in the background.
You guys are dicks. She,
What do you expect from a thug?
as she holds on to the doll, she's clutching the doll and she says, this doll belonged to me in my youth, and I passed it down to Gertruda. And she's gone now.
There. It is a most beautiful doll. I imagine your daughter was quite fond of it. Tell us, how might we begin to help you find her?
She says, I don't know where she could have gone. But granted that she's been out for a week now, I know that it is the devil Strahd who has her.
I give my party a look over my shoulder.
Who's Strahd?
This is not the first time we have heard this name.
I look at her again and I say, why won't the rest of the town help you? We talked to Pumpernickel Bread and he didn't seem interested.
Pumpernickel bread.
Pumperwinkle Dinkle.
Same as Periwimple.
Periwimple.
Pimple Wimple.
She says, oh, that log can't help. And she just keeps crying. She
Can
says,
we sort of like shake her into sanity?
you can attempt to like cure madness,
Intimidate?
but I don't think any of you have that spell.
We don't have fucking shit.
Can I cure
Wait.
it with intimidation?
So is she actually mad? Is that what we're picking up?
You can roll a perception check to see if you can gain any additional information. Maybe insight, yeah.
I'm inviting everyone to make this roll.
Yeah, you guys can all roll an insight check to see if you can pick anything else up.
Got a
Okay. Doing it.
8.
Wait,
Oh.
insight?
Insight, yeah.
Okay.
5.
19.
Yes.
Okay.
With a 19, you can tell that this is a woman who is lost to sorrow and despondency. Now, she's not mad, she's not crazy, but her sorrow has for sure overtaken her, and nothing but the return of her child will bring her peace.
I kind of, Ramis turns to his party and says, shall we learn as much as we can about this Strahd figure?
Nod. Zug nods.
I believe that would be prudent.
Yeah.
What? Please tell us more about Strahd. You are not the first person who has illuminated this character.
She says, Strahd, the devil Strahd. He's a vampire. He dwells in Castle Ravenloft. And you guys don't know what that is. but you've seen like small, like castle-y type things placed throughout the town. And she says, no one is welcome at the castle. She says, the devil Strahd is a curse placed on this land because of a forgotten sin of the Barovians' ancestors. And then she keeps crying.
Why would Strahd have taken your daughter?
She says, he's a vampire. He looks to create minions and servants for himself all the time.
Did she say what her daughter's name was?
Gertruda.
Gertruda.
Do we recognize that name at all? Or does it serve no significance? Okay.
Just the
It's
love.
pretty unique.
Yeah.
Why was she not taken?
She says, vampires must rest during the day. And vampires must not enter residences without an invitation from the occupants. I would never invite him in here. That's why I kept her in here for so many years.
How old is she?
She says, my daughter is 15.
Too small to be a fellow vampire. Probably a ghoul now.
Tell us
Is
about
that out loud?
No, like if Zug starts saying that, Ramis speaks over him loudly. What
Slam
about
my hand over his mouth.
the Barovian curse?
Just shove him down, put a bag over him.
She says, anyone who attempts to leave Barovia will not be able to do so. They will perish. This is the curse that we live through.
Did not know of the perish part, but we did know that it is very difficult, if at all possible, to leave here.
She says, it is not possible.
Zug will slam his fist against his chest and say, Zug here to be hero. Zug here to break curse.
She looks at Zug and she says, many strangers have been drawn to Barovia over the years, but they all die or disappear before long.
Zug not afraid, Zug not strange.
Zug not strange.
He said strangers, I'm not strange.
Miss, could you tell us anything else you think might be helpful for those who may be fortunate enough to challenge the curse, as Zug has put it?
She says, there is no way to beat the curse. The only way is to keep everyone out and leave Barovians to their own accursed fate.
Did your daughter keep a journal or anything that we could look at to see if we had any clues as to where she went before Strahd?
She looks at you and she says, no. But I do know she did have a slight fascination with Strahd. And I know that he has her.
Zug will leave the room and go into the other room, into the other bedroom.
Just walks away.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm fucking out.
I've heard enough of this.
Mary, would you mind if we looked at your daughter's room to see if we can glean any kind of clues?
She says, I don't care. And
Cool.
she continues
let's
to
go ahead.
wail.
Oh,
Which
Don't
room
I-
was it?
It was a room across the hall.
Okay.
The door's open.
It's the only other room.
Wait, before you go bawling again. Yeah, I'd go for a party. Ramis is starting to lose interest in her as well.
You said there is a foot locker.
Yes,
Is it
there's a
open?
foot
Does it have a
locker at the
padlock?
base of the bed.
Does it have a padlock or anything?
No, open.
Cool. I'm gonna pop into that room with Zug and help investigate.
Mhm.
I will scan to the side of the foot locker and open it.
Okay, so Zug
Using
opens the
your
foot locker
support
and looks
overhead.
inside. You find a couple of candles, and you find a pair of the well-worn shoes, and that is it.
Can I investigate the room to see if there's anything that would be of any use to us?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, go ahead and roll for it.
Come on, 9.
This is a child's bedroom.
Do I do any better with a 17?
This is a young girl's bedroom.
Wow.
My
So
God.
no.
I concur, Sindra.
Can I lift up the mattress and see if there's anything there?
Yes, you lift the mattress, which is made
Yeah.
of straw.
You
And
don't want a strength check?
no, it's a straw mattress. You can lift it. And you look underneath, and you find a bed frame. It's wood.
Just imagining you failing that strength check and like pulling a muscle or something.
Hey man, I failed to kick open a door twice already. Anyway, anything in the wardrobe?
Young girl's clothes, well worn.
Looks behind the wardrobe.
Narnia, and the campaign has changed. No, nothing. It's just a wall.
Don't do that, God. Don't do that to us, God.
Oh, I'm not seeing anything here, guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any promises to this wailing woman about rescuing her daughter. If we see her, great.
She stands up and she walks over to the other bedroom with you guys, where you guys are at, and still sobbing. She hands you the toy. Who's standing? Like she walks up, definitely not to Zug, probably to Syndra. She walks up and she hands you the toy, and she says, I cannot be reminded of this right now. Please take this, and may it bring you some semblance of where my daughter might be.
Thank
If you
you.
find her, please bring her back.
Will do. We'll reunite her with her doll.
We shall keep an eye open for her.
And she gives you this doll, this creepy looking little malformed doll. And it's wearing a sackcloth dress, and it has a frayed tag on it. And the frayed tag on the doll says, "Is no fun, is no Blinsky."
What?
Does that
Is that
make
a language?
sense?
Hmm?
Blin-
Did you say Blinsky? Like
Blinsky.
Blinsky?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Mandarin?
It is in English.
Okay. Is it worth doing a perception check on the doll to see if I can glean anything else?
You can take a closer look at the doll if you'd like to.
Does it appear magical?
No. It's a very
Oh.
And Kane is not interested.
ugly doll.
Okay. I will hold it very delicately until we leave the room, and then I will tuck it away safely in my pack.
And
Cute.
Mary continues to cry as you exit the room.
Zug will close the door.
You guys want to check anything else out, or we can also?
Can I investigate the lower like windows and doors to see like how she broke out and left?
Sure. Mary said broke out, but you can assume that she just left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
I say we continue on with the caravan, I guess. Maybe she'll tire herself out and stop crying.
Yeah. Well, it's been a week, so.
Yep.
Maybe not. All right. So as you leave the townhouse, so leaving the house, you can go either south or north on the street. It is a one-way street. South leads to a giant unknown road. You can't really see past you that far ahead. And you know that north is sort of where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Do we want to keep exploring or go back?
Well, shall we return to the caravan? We found the wailing.
My vote is to return to the caravan.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. So you guys travel north, back to the street that you came in on. And as you travel north, you see a bunch of other boarded up buildings. As far as you can tell, you're not sure if anyone is inside any of these buildings, really. But as you approach an intersection before you head back to the caravans, you notice a single shaft of light thrusting illumination into what appears to be the main square. And its brightness looks like a solid pillar in the heavy fog around you. And there's a large building, quite large. It's about 60 feet long, almost as big as Bildreth's Mercantile. And inside there's a light beaming from it, much brighter than Bildreth's Mercantile. And as you sort of round about the main square on the street, if any of you look over at the bright light, which I assume some of you might, there's a doorway that is actually open, and there's a sign that is hanging askew proclaiming this place to be the Blood on the Vine Tavern. So there's an open tavern in the town and lots of light coming from the tavern. Doors actually open. If you guys want to go inside, you can, or you can continue back to the Mercantile, to the caravan.
Hermes gets pretty stoked about the possibility of a tavern. He turns to the party and says, "Friends, shall we investigate the local drink?"
I
You
could
had me a drink. I'm gonna
wet
hop
my
on.
whistle.
Very good. Syndra, come on.
All right. Let's go.
All
right, you guys head towards the tavern. Tavern is about 60 feet wide, and as you approach, you can see that it's a kind of square-ish building, so about 60 feet long as well. And as you get closer to the sign, anyone who is looking at the sign on the door can roll a perception check.
Perception, you say?
Yes.
8.
I cannot roll for shit today.
That's a 15.
I got 16.
Ooh.
So the 15 and the 16 can see that the sign, it looks like the sign used to say Blood of the Vine Tavern, and an N has been scratched over the F. So now it says Blood on the Vine. So it looks like this place is now called Blood on the Vine, but used to be called Blood of the Vine, which is a little weird. And as you approach the tavern inside, you feel almost like a warmth coming from the inside of the tavern that draws you all inside. And as you enter the tavern, there is a blazing hearth in the fireplace that is warming yourselves and seems to be warming some of the souls that are dwelling within. You see a few people when you enter. There's a barkeep who's standing behind the bar and he's attending to some glasses. You see some characters. You see 3 what appear to be to you Vistanis, recognize their colorful clothing, who are hanging out at a table having some wine. And there is a man who is sitting by himself at a corner table, sipping his wine all alone. And none of them initially notice you until you get farther into the bar, if you walk inside. And then all of them notice you. And the Vistani notice you and perk up their heads and look over at you. And after they look at you, they just go back to what they were doing, showing pretty little interest.
How many people total?
Say that again?
How many people are in the tavern?
From what you can see right now, there's the barkeep, there are 3 Vistanis, and there is a man who is sitting alone at a corner table. So you see 5 people total right now.
Vermees looks slightly disappointed.
There's not as many people as you'd hoped. The barkeep is just tending the bar, cleaning glasses one after the other, pretty mindlessly. And the man who is sitting in the corner, as soon as he notices you, he actually kind of like brightens up a little bit and ushers you over. And he says, "Come, have a seat, travelers."
Kane is happy to do so.
Perhaps someone recognizes Vermees the Golden.
He invites you to join him. And he says, "You look like a hefty adventuring bunch." And he says, "Sit." Looking at Doug. And he says, "Please come, have a seat. Let me pay for your wine." And he offers you each a glass of wine that he will pay for.
Thank you, friend. That is most gracious. We owe the honor.
He says, "My name is Ismark." And he is a pretty broad fellow himself. He's built. He looks a little bit weathered. He's got long blonde-ish hair. He's wearing like a leather tunic and a shirt, so he's dressed pretty normally.
And he's not Vistani?
He's not a Vistani, from what you can tell. He's wearing like dark clothes, like grayish, brownish clothes. Yeah, his face is very angular and sharp. He's very kind of classically handsome, but also weathered and a little bit like he looks older than he probably is.
So he's Aragorn.
Not that handsome.
Oh.
At least from the movie portrayals. Book Aragorn.
Yet again.
Yeah, and he's definitely not as dour as some of the other Barovians that you've contacted so far, so you guys are happy to join him. The barkeep walks over and brings you all some wine, and yeah, you can have your wine if you'd like to. And he says, "How did you all come to be here in Barovia?"
We were brought here on a Vistani caravan after being asked to assist with a particular problem.
He looks down at his wine and back up to you, and he says, the Vistani spies.
I had suspected that they were, at the very least, being slightly deceptive.
He says, "Well, the Vistani enjoy certain pleasures that the rest of us do not, including the ability to come and go through this domain as they please. The rest of us are not so fortunate." And he sort of sighs, and he looks back up to you and he says, "Well, nonetheless, now that you're here, I must ask you, I need your help. No one else in the town will help me, and the situation is getting quite dire." He says, "My sister, Irina, she has been receiving visits from the corrupt one. He seems to have taken interest in her, and I'm worried for her safety. I would greatly appreciate your aid in protecting her by escorting her to Velaki. And he looks to you to see if any of you recognize the word Velaki.
It sounds Transylvanian, but
And he rolls a perception check, and he rolls pretty high. So he says, it is a western settlement in the heart of the Barovian Valley. He says, it is beyond the view of Castle Ravenloft, and I am hoping that it is beyond the reach of the Devil Strahd. I know that moving Irina might be a gamble, since she's vulnerable when she's outside of our home. But I know Valaki will defend her once we get there. Will you come to our home and will you assist me in this?
Who is the corrupt one?
He's referring to Strahd.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wait, so sorry, he's saying, sorry, DM. You said he's saying that this lady has taken interest in Strahd, or Strahd has taken interest in her?
You can ask him.
I just wanted to recap. Okay. I thought he just said it, but
Clearly you didn't hear it, so.
Ramis was looking elsewhere, paying attention to something else. So
It's just like
Don't-
occupied
don't
with
you
like a
blame
castle
Ramis.
somewhere. He's told you that Strahd has taken an interest in his sister and has paid her several visits.
This Strahd character is no good. We can already tell that much being here.
I have heard assertions that Valaki is well defended, and I must bring Irina there so she will be safe.
But what has Strahd has visited her? What is the nature of his visits, and how do you know?
He says, I know as much as anyone else knows. And he looks to you to see like if that means anything to you.
Friends,
Wait, what did he
may I
say?
give you the trouble?
Oh, he says,
We have only just arrived. Just fill in the blanks for us, please.
sure. And he says, oh, yes. He says, well, Strahd, the vampire, he had a loved one, and I believe that he might think that Irina is the reincarnation of his loved one. I don't really know, but he has come and visited her twice, and I'm worried that he will make her his spawn if nothing is done soon.
This sounds quite important. If this Strahd fellow has taken an interest in her, and he is the root of the problems here in Barovia, I think we should pay this heed. What do you think, Ramis?
Where is Irina? I would be curious to know what she would like.
As Mark says, Irina is safe in our home right now. Our father, the Burgmaster, has kept her safe there for quite some time, but our father has recently passed, and now I fear for her safety more than ever.
I'm most sorry to hear about your father. It was not related to Strahd. His passing?
No. Not as far as I know.
As
But
far
you
as you
never
know.
know how Strahd's domain really takes form. You can I'll take a perception check.
Oh, baby. 13.
Got it?
13.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Roll something.
Can I,
Kane, please.
can I roll 2? 18.
Yes.
This man carries specific hatred for Strahd. And from what you've gathered so far, the Barovians that you've spoken to thus far are not super big Strahd fans. But this guy has a very specific disdain. He has the anger towards him.
Can you remind me what this guy's name is?
Ismark.
Ismark, have you encountered this Strahd fellow?
He says, I have not. But for some unknown reason, Strahd is attracted to Irina and he desires her above all others.
Tell us about yourself and Irina. Why would he take interest? Besides believing that she is his lover reincarnated.
Yeah, so he tells you, Irina is my adopted sister. She comes from unknown origins. So it is hard for me to know for certain what his interest is in her. But she must be kept safe at all costs. I have been training my whole life with weapons in the hope of one day killing the Devil's Strahd. But I must ensure that Irina is safe before I can continue with my training.
How far is this town?
You ask how far is Velaki?
Yeah.
He says, a couple days ride.
What direction?
West.
And we were heading west.
I think we're heading west.
Your caravan is actually heading west.
Yeah, we came in. We were always traveling west, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since we passed into Barovia.
Yes, you've been traveling west pretty much this entire time so far until you've reached the village.
Would any of us know if we would pass that town on the way to? No, none of us would know.
No. The Vistani did not tell you exactly where they were taking you. They just basically told you, come and meet Madame Ava, and then you were traveling west.
Ismark, have these lands been chartered in any capacity?
Has who been chartered?
The Barovia, these lands.
Have they been chartered?
Have they been charted?
Okay. Does he know of a map?
Oh, is there a map charted?
Yes.
Ismark says, oh, I am sure Bildrath might have a map.
Who is he?
He says he owns the mercantile across the way.
Bildrath.
Oh, that fellow. Yes. He was quite upset that we did not take much interest in his wares.
Ismark says, yes, Bildrath is a gruff, stodgy old fellow and only cares about his business.
I am personally willing to assist you, Ismark, but I must discuss this with the rest of my party.
Ismark says, I absolutely understand. I very much hope that you will assist me.
Ramis downs the rest of his wine and turns to his party. I think we're heading west anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Might as well.
Cade looks over at Zug. What say you, Zug? And he raises his glass of wine a bit towards Zug.
Zug proclaims, Zug Zug.
Does he?
Kane looks back over at Ismark. It sounds like that's a yes, young man.
Ismark is relieved and he says, oh, thank you so much. And he says, please come to our house. I will introduce you to Irina.
Sounds good.
he gets up, wine in his hand, and he downs the rest of his wine and leads you guys out of the tavern.
Not gonna pay his tab.
He already paid.
He's good.
Sweet free wine.
He already paid. All right, so you guys agree to go with Ismark, and you travel back down the street that you were just down, passing Mad Mary's house, hearing the wailing one more time. And as you pass Mad Mary's house, Ismark just shakes his head. And you guys walk down the remainder of this street, and you arrive at a very large settlement. It is the largest building you've seen, larger than the tavern and the mercantile. And yeah, it's a mansion. It's definitely a mansion. And as you guys approach the mansion looks quite weary. And it is a squat-looking mansion behind a rusting iron fence, as are most houses behind rusting iron fences. The iron gates are twisted and torn in front, and the right gate lies cast aside, and the left gate is swinging lazily in the wind, creaking. The squeal and clang of the gate repeats with utter, mindless precision. There are weeds all over the grounds. And yet, you see a path all about the domain of weeds that have been trampled down. So there's kind of weeds that are growing up all over the place, but there's a path through the weeds that has been trampled. And you see heavy claw marks that have stripped the once beautiful finish of the walls. There are black marks that tell of fires that have assailed this mansion. And there are no glass panes, not a shard of glass, in fact, in any of the windows. All the windows are barred with planks. Each one is marked with stains of evil omen. And you see what looks like little fur bits in the weeds.
Okay. Ramis has had enough of this description. Ismark, what has passed here? This looks like a fucking battleground.
Ismark says, in Strahd's efforts to visit Irina, he has sent many of his minions, including werewolves, rats, bats, all of them.
And you fended them off yourself.
He says, I have done what I can.
And what is your background, Ismark?
He says, well, they call me the Lesser. I have lived in the Burgomaster's shadow for my entire life. I'm not sure that I have a background that is of note, besides learning to fight so I could one day defeat the Devil Strahd.
Your father was the Burgermeister of the town.
The Burgomaster.
Your father was the Hamburglar of the town.
Yes, my father was the Hamburglar. Burgomaster stems from the word burg, which means city. Master.
I remember when you learned this.
Mayor. It's the mayor.
To Burgle. That's where
He's a mayor.
He's a Burgermeister, but he's the leader of the town. Ramis is asking, like, is his father the leader?
He was. And with that, Ismark knocks on the front door of the house. So as he knocks on the front door of the house, you hear a voice, and she says, "Who's there?" In a pretty strong voice, pretty strong. It's like, wow, that's not what I expected. And the door is heavily barred. And as soon as she hears her brother's voice in reply, Ismark says, "It is me, Irina. I have brought help." She opens the door right away. And she invites Ismark and the rest of you inside. "Please come in."
She's pretty sure we're not vampires.
You're with her brother, and she clearly trusts him.
Yeah.
So will you guys go into the mansion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the interior of the mansion, as you walk in, is well furnished, but the fixtures do show signs of a lot of wear. There are there's the presence of many holy symbols in all of like the window, boarded up window panes that you can see. And in a side room, you can sort of see the pokings out. So one of the doors is open on your right side when you walk into the mansion. That's facing, it's like the southernmost room. And you notice the door is open, and the like edge of what most certainly appears to be a wooden coffer is sitting there, and you can see like the bottom of it, and there is a faint odor of decay.
Uh-oh. Dead stuff.
Dead.
Irina is extremely beautiful, and she has auburn hair and striking features. And she says, "Who are they, brother?" And Ismark says, "They are adventurers. They are here to aid us, to bring you to Valaki." And Irina like grunts, like, "Huh." She says, "Not until Father has had a proper burial."
Seems reasonable enough. Why hasn't he already had a proper burial?
Irina tells you guys that no one from the village has been brave enough to help Ismark take our father to the cemetery for a proper burial. And Irina says, "Would you be so kind as to help Ismark deliver our father's body safely to Donovich?"
Where is Donovich?
She says, "He's the local priest. He's at the church. It's just north of here."
We know how big this town is mostly, right? That's not like a crazy distance or anything.
You're not entirely sure, but based off of the length of this street from the main square to the burgomaster's mansion, it doesn't seem gigantic.
That seems like a very reasonable request, Irina.
She says, "It would bring me great peace to know that my father is resting soundly in the chaos that has ensued. Since father has died, the attacks have stopped."
That is weird.
Yeah. She says, I don't know why the attacks have stopped, but wolves and other terrible creatures have been attacking the house night after night for weeks now."
I suppose it would be much easier to not be needing an invite into a pile of rubble to get to you.
She says, my father's heart couldn't stand the constant assault, and he passed 3 days ago. And strangely, since he has passed, the house has not come under attack. But I know we are not safe here.
Does Kane have any idea why monsters would have been attacking just because he was in there. Because if Strahd's been after her, it doesn't make any sense that they would just stop attacking when he goes away.
No. You wouldn't know why a guy died and then wolves stopped attacking.
Irina, I am curious about why these monsters have stopped attacking so suddenly. I understand this is a difficult request to consider, but perhaps we can take a look at your father's body.
She says, yes, you can.
We go check it out.
Yeah, you can go in the other room and check out his body.
Like we'll stay behind.
Yeah.
Like doesn't need to see
Kane,
that.
Kane, you go.
Kane is undisheveled by such things as death. Can I investigate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, roll a investigation.
Okay, hold on. Go back over to. Does a 17 get me anything?
As you inspect the body, you notice that the coffin looks a little bit shabby.
Coffin.
The coffin that he's lying in looks a little. It's not like a beautiful coffer that you might expect a mayor to be inside of. That's like lined with cloth. It's just a basically wooden crate that looks
Simple.
pieced together.
I mean, this whole mansion looks like it's not in great shape anyway, right? So that doesn't seem so out of place.
Yeah. And Ismark is behind you. He's followed you into the room. And he says, Irina and I built that coffin ourselves.
Did he say it in that creepy way? Or?
It's like a sad, sorrowful way because they couldn't get a coffin from somewhere else.
We can build one for you too, Kane.
Kane puts a hand on Ismark's shoulder and he says,
I'm sure your father would have been happy to know that he stays in something that you and your sister work together to make.
Ismark is contemplative and
so
sorrowful.
So Kane doesn't see anything abnormal about the body or...
Kane sees, well, you see that there are a bunch of wilting flowers around the coffin. Kane notices that there are no signs of a visible struggle, no signs of death by anything external. So it appears that what they are saying seems to be the most valid explanation, that he basically had a heart attack.
Right. So no evidence that would contribute to like why the monsters would have been. Okay. So I don't know. I'm just thinking now. I don't know if Kane would be smart enough to think this, but maybe they were trying to give Irina a reason to leave the house and be out in the open due to needing to bury her father or not having a reason to stay here. So being out in the open could be setting us up. So I'm going to go back out into the hall.
Irina.
She turns to you.
I see no evidence to the contrary of what you've explained to me, but it does strike me as odd that these attacks should suddenly halt. And the only reason I can discern that that would be the case is that this Strahd fellow is interested in getting you to leave your house. And now that your father is dead and you must bury him, you have no reason to be here.
She says, yes, I found that to be peculiar as well. But my encounters with Strahd are very fuzzy. And I can't recall much of what he said or what interactions we had. But I do recall there was a blazing hunger in his eyes. And I know that we must bury my father and I must leave, but I cannot feel right to leave this place until my father lies buried and not dead on this house floor.
I understand, and I agree. I have one other question before we help your brother take your father. You say you've met Strahd more than once.
She's in thought. She furrows her brow and looks off into the distance. And she says, twice, I think.
Twice. And you can't remember much, almost as though perhaps you've been under some kind of spell.
She clutches kind of at her scarf a little bit. She says, I know that vampires have charms, but I know that Strahd is not trying to harm me.
Well, if your brother is to be believed, we could imagine how harm might be a flexible definition. Has he bitten you?
She pulls the scarf down a little bit to reveal a part of her neck, and you can see that there are some scar tissue points in her neck.
So he's already bitten her.
She has been bitten. And she
Presumably
continues
twice.
to pull the scarf down, and you see another set of
Okay.
points. She has been bitten twice.
I don't know if there's any significance of that, but if he's bitten her twice, he's obviously gotten access to her a couple times. Does Kane know anything about vampires, or is this all totally news to him?
You probably know the basics about vampires from reading in general, of what like
books.
a vampire is. Go ahead and roll a knowledge religion. Actually, everyone can roll to know basic information about vampires.
Bard of lore. Here we go.
You also could ask the villagers who probably know a lot.
that's true, huh?
Well, we don't want to ask any dumb questions. I rolled a nat 20.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well,
All right.
let's
Well,
just
Ramis
go
is
with
going to
that.
tell you all about what fucking vampires are like. So vampires, as Mary told you, cannot enter residences without an invitation from an occupant. At least this is what you believe. This is what most people believe about vampires in a general sense. This may or may not actually be true, or if it is true, it may not be completely applicable to Strahd. We don't know.
Sure.
Vampire has to rest in a coffin during the day. And at night, it can summon wolves or vermin, rats to do its bidding. A vampire has the ability to actually transform into a bat or a wolf if it wants to. Or you've even heard that some vampires can transform into clouds of mist.
Oh, man.
And in humanoid form, a vampire can dominate you with its powerful gaze. They are very persuasive and very cunning.
Sounds
You
like
also know that running water burns a vampire like acid, and that sunlight causes a vampire to burst into flame.
Ooh. That's good to know. Running water, sunlight.
This is what you
Do
would
we
know
know-
from basic reading.
Do we know
Basic lore.
anything about bites?
Yeah.
Made.
Vampires are turned into spawn by selective biting.
Selective
Spawn?
as in location.
The vampire gets to choose whether or not to turn their bitten into their spawn.
Okay, so I can put 2 and 2 together. Can Kane put 2 and 2 together?
You know that her being bit is probably not a great thing.
Yeah. Okay. So he's trying to turn Irina. And Ismark said something about thinking that she was somebody else, didn't he?
Yes. Ismark said something about Strahd believing that Irina, her soul is like the soul of his past lover.
Okay. So this all makes way more sense now. Gotcha.
So he will not harm her.
Yeah.
Well,
I
he
guess-
won't obliterate her, but it sounds like he wants to turn her into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ramis jumps slightly and says, "Arina, you have been bitten multiple times. Is he just feeding off of you, or is he trying to make you one with him? Do you know?"
Irina says, I don't remember.
I think it is at this point a reasonable assumption to make, which means you could be turned any time now.
She nods and she says, if Strahd wanted to turn me into a vampire, I believe he would have done so already. I think his goals might be different. I can't remember what we discussed or what our visits entailed, but I believe Strahd wants me to come of my own accord.
What do you feel about this?
Yeah.
She shakes her head and she says, I want nothing to do with him.
Then we will do everything in our power to prevent that from happening.
She nods to you graciously.
Bury your father first.
She says, that would be very settling.
I
Do you
say
have
we
a
get
card?
moving.
Ramis does the most handsome, majestic bow he can possibly muster.
Many
Many hand waves the whole way down.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a
Performance.
performance. I was gonna say like even charisma. Performance is okay.
I'll take any of those. Ramis has got this shit. That's a nat 20.
Ooh.
So that's a 27 total.
Of your bow. She's just standing there in like awe of your presence. Like her eyes are gleaming at you. She thinks you are goddamn majestic.
All right, just laying the foundations here. All right, and Ramis like suddenly turns like dramatically and heads towards the door. Kane, grab the
Swish
bottle.
of your cloak.
She coughs like my father is over there.
He said, "Kane, grab the body," as he turned.
Okay. All right. So is one of you going to help Ismark pick up the body and bring it to the church?
I
Can
will.
nudges Zug.
Zug will. Okay. So Zug picks up one end of the coffin, Ismark grabs the other.
No,
What?
I grabbed the whole coffin.
Zug just picks up the whole coffin and
Yes.
puts it over his head. Zug just looks at Ismark and goes, no. And just picks up the coffin by himself. Athletics.
There
Okay.
you go.
You got this, Zug.
Why do I always fail when it counts? I got an 8.
Okay.
My knees are
Zug,
buckled.
Zug starts to lift the coffin and he goes, huh? And it like pries off the floor a little bit, and he just one more time, and your muscles start to quiver and give out a little bit. And Ismark 100% notices that you are struggling, and he rushes over and he grabs the other end of the coffin and he says, "Please let me help. This is my father. I would like to be a part of this."
Oh, tiny Zug.
So Ismark grabs one end of the coffin, and Zug will grab the other, and you guys will head out the door. And Ismark, as he leaves, says, "We will be back for you soon, Irina. Stay safe."
Didn't she come with us?
No.
No. And Irina nods and she says, "I await." And you guys head out towards the street with the body. And
do we have a shovel?
You hop 2, 3, 4, and I'm assuming we walk where Ismark is leading, towards the church.
Yeah.
All right. It takes you guys about almost an hour carrying that body to get to the church.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Because it's so far away, or because their dad's
because it's heavy and you're slow. I mean, the dad, he's a bit portly.
What a burger master.
He is a hamburglar after all. God. All right. And you guys, eventually you travel north, passing Mad Mary's house yet again. And you hear the soft wailing still continuing to emanate from the house. You pass by the mercantile, you pass by the tavern, and you continue north on a side street until...
Should we buy a map from the mercantile?
If you want to stop and get a map, you can.
That's probably a good idea.
On our way back?
It is. You are passing right by it. One of you could just let Zug and Ismark keep going. One of you could run to the mercantile.
Ramis heads in to deal with...
I was actually going to bring the body in with us.
I'm not carrying the body, so I'm gonna go in with Ramis.
All right, so you guys head in with Ramis.
What's his name again?
What's that?
What's his name again?
Well, the store is called Bildrath's Mercantile. And his name is Bildrath.
Bildrath. I like
Bildrath looks up at you and grunts again.
Hello, friend. We are back. Don't worry, I won't ask you to say any words because, frankly, I do not care what you might say in response. Just give me a map, please, of your fair land, and we shall be on our way.
Bildrath says, "I got a map of the town."
More than 3 words, Bildrath. Wow. Okay.
Bildrath scowls at you.
A town map shall suffice. Thank you, Bildrath.
Wait, I thought he had
There's no
map of the area. Yeah, a Barovian, so we can look where the town is. And no,
apparently not.
What do we need? What do we need a map of the town for? We've walked like the length of
it. And there might be other.
Somebody had to walk in there sassy.
Well, how much is it?
Bildrath says, "That's 100 gold pieces."
For a map of the town?
Mies.
I think you shall perhaps.
Do I see this map? Does he have it?
He won't give it to you unless you pay.
I would like
to. Yeah, go ahead, Ramis.
I would like to attempt a persuading maneuver.
Okay.
Bildrath, we are new here. This you know. And we are only trying to become familiar with your fair town so that we may assist folks like yourself even.
Bildrath continues to scowl at you and he says,
25.
Ooh. Bildrath softens a little bit and he says, "If you want it bad enough, you'll pay."
No.
I'm going to try one thing before.
Should we just kill Bildrath?
You give me the word, man. I'll drop this coffin and head inside.
I was thinking, I mean, how badly do we want a map of the town? I don't
think we care at all.
I don't think we care.
Mm-hmm.
Bildrath, one of these days you may wish you had made friends of us.
We leave.
Bildrath, on your way out, Bildrath says, "You won't find these wares anywhere else nearby."
All right, that's it.
Ramis tips some shit over on his way out. Like, just knocks all kinds of shit off.
No, I got a good
Steps
one.
on things.
Kane casts sleep on him as he walks out.
Oh,
Bildrath falls into a deep slumber. And
Oh, wait. Ramis takes
He's
out a
standing,
quill,
right?
drawing all over his face. Just drawing, like, all kinds of crass. Yeah.
He's got a dick on his forehead now.
If he's asleep, can we open the map and take a look at it?
Oh, let's take
We're
the
not
map.
stealing.
as Ramis is knocking shit over in the shop, Periwinkle hears this
God damn it, Ramis.
and comes out, and he looks at his uncle, who is asleep, and he looks
Perhaps
at
you should take him upstairs. He looks a bit tired.
Periwinkle, your
And
uncle. just
Periwinkle
fell asleep.
says, "What did you do to Uncle?"
We have been having a pleasant conversation about maps with him. He does not appear to have the map we'd like, but he must be very tired because in the middle of our conversation, he simply passed out.
It bore him to death, Periwinkle. Oh, what a shame.
My stories have been known to put people to sleep.
Periwinkle looks over at his uncle and he says, "I think you guys should leave."
Okay. Goodbye.
But before we go, I would like to buy a map, please.
Periwinkle looks at the map and he like holds it upside down and is like looking at it. And he says, "This is 001 gold pieces."
That sounds like a great deal, Periwinkle.
He flips him a gold coin with his thumb.
Shing! Periwinkle catches the gold and he tosses you the map.
Don't forget to tend to your uncle there. He looks very, very tired.
Periwinkle says, "It's okay, Uncle. I'll bring you to bed later.
Let's get the hell out of
Close
here."
up the shop."
Periwinkle, your heroism is not.
And you all receive a map
Of a town that we've
of
already
the town,
explored.
which I will send to you guys in Discord.
Yes, map.
So let me know that you could see that.
I think we just beat Curse of Strahd, by the way.
That was pretty fun.
Sometimes you just have to put people.
Oh, that's a nice map, actually.
yeah, cool.
Oh, this place is huge.
Yeah.
So
way bigger
you
than I
guys are at the Mercantile, which is that southern road in Barovia. That's the end of that southern road is the mansion that you were just at.
Okay.
Walking up that little tiny gray house on the right of that street, that's Mary's mansion. That big building, the big T-shaped building, that's Bildrath's Mercantile.
The one at the intersection?
Yes. So
Okay.
there's that big square. And that first one, that's Bildrath Mercantile.
Hmm.
And then up north of the square to the right, that's the tavern there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we've been in all.
And
the-
so you
the
guys
important
are
places.
passing Bildrath's Mercantile, heading into the square, and you guys are going to take that left road all the way to the end of the road, which is where the church is located.
It took us almost an hour to get like 400 feet with that guy.
It is a heavy body.
Not
Holy
even 400
shit.
feet, man. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, so 240 feet. I'm crawling on my knees right now.
Doug, do some fucking push-ups or something.
We're just dragging them at like an inch
know
every minute.
Don't you have more strength than I do? Shouldn't you be doing this?
12 times 40. That's what, 3,600? No, 4,800?
6 times 40. What are you
It
talking
took us
about?
an hour to get to the cemetery.
To get
Each
all the way to
square.
the cemetery.
Each
Oh,
square
to the
40 feet.
To
cemetery.
the church.
Okay.
To the church.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys were originally just going to the church, and I said it takes you about an hour to get there.
Okay.
Took you about half an hour to get to Bildrath's Mercantile.
Fucking Bildrath.
Yeah, cut your bullshit out, you guys.
What?
All right. So we're heading up to the cemetery / church You guys don't, well, you assume that it's a cemetery because you're going to bury him there. So you guys head up and continue walking north/west, and you reach the church, the front of the church. And atop a slight rise as you approach the church, against the roots of the pillar stone that supports, as you look up, you can see the giant shadow of the castle that Ismark was referring to earlier. There is a gray sagging edifice of stone and wood. The church kind of has the same sort of appearance as the mansion did. It has very obviously weathered the assaults of evil for a long time, and it is very worn and weary. There is a bell tower that rises towards the back, and a flickering light shines through the holes in the shingled roof.
We went 9 feet per minute, by the way, to get there. Just so you know.
Is Mark still leading with the cup?
Yeah, Ismark is still leading you guys. And as you approach the church doors, you see that the heavy wooden doors of the church are covered with claw marks and scarred by fire.
Ooh, this thing's been attacked. Did the claw marks look kind of like the attack shit that we saw on the mansion?
Yes, very similar markings.
Great. This place is like on the verge of being taken over by monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have come at a very pivotal time, it appears.
Wonderful place for a bard.
Can we open the doors? Are they...
Yes. So you guys can open up the doors, and as you open the doors to the church, you see the doors open to reveal a 10-foot wide, 20-foot long hall that leads to a brightly lit chapel. The hall is unlit and it reeks of mildew. As you approach into the hallway, there's 4 doors. There's 2 on each side of the hall. There's 2 doors on your right side, 2 doors on your left side, and straight ahead there is the chapel. The chapel is strewn with debris. And as you enter the church, you can hear a soft voice from within the chapel reciting a prayer. And as you guys continue to march into the church, suddenly the prayer is blotted out by an inhuman scream that rises up from beneath the wooden floor.
Allah.
Can Zug yell out hello?
Inhuman scream? I don't like it.
What is Ismark's reaction to all of this? I'm looking stunned and worried.
Ismark is used to the terror that befalls all of the places that he sees. Ismark
like
is
when you
actually
go to
like a little
work.
bit cheery.
It's like when you go to work and Karen comes up and asks for the manager and acts like a bitch, and you're just like, it's this like this every day.
You're like, yep,
I
this
am
is
the
to be
manager.
expected.
Keep following him, I guess.
Yeah, so you guys continue into the church, and you see a chapel that is in shambles, with overturned and broken pews that are littering the dusty floor. Dozens of candles mounted and candlesticks and candelabras light the dusty corners. In a fervent attempt, what is this word? Fervent?
Fervent? Yeah.
Is that a word? Fervent?
Yes.
Okay. I should look up these words before I read them.
It's like with a large amount of enthusiasm.
With fervor.
Oh, with fervor. Okay, yes, I know this word. This is a derivative. I see. Yes, so the candelabras are attempting to rid the chapel of all of its shadows. And at the far end of the church, there is a claw-scarred altar, behind which kneels a priest in soiled vestments. And next to the priest, there hangs a long, thick rope that stretches up into the bell tower. And if any of you investigate the bell tower, there are in fact bats in the belfry.
Great.
Perfect. Save us the trouble.
Mhm.
Delightful.
Thought I would just throw that out there. And you approach the man who is very clearly a priest. And from beneath the chapel floor, you hear a young man's voice cry out. And it says, "Father, I'm starving." And you continue on as Mark seems to pay no mind. And Ismark approaches and he says, "Donovich, it is so good to see you." And Donovich nods to Ismark and approaches the coffin. And he says, "Ah, Kolyan," he says, "too soon." And Donovich says, we are losing so many." And there's a like a strain of personal effect in his voice. So you guys want to bury the body?
Yeah,
I
let's
presume?
do that.
Yep.
Just try to make it snappy here.
All right. So out one of the there's a back door, and you guys head out the back door of this place, and you're led to the cemetery that's behind the church. And in the cemetery, there is a fence of wrought iron with a rusty gate that encloses a rectangular plot of land behind the church. And there are a bunch of tightly packed gravestones that are shrouded by fog. All seems quiet here. And this is a still and peaceful place. So you guys can head to the plot of where Kolyan is meant to be buried.
Is
And,
Donovich following along with us?
Yeah, Donovich is following behind you.
Okay.
Donovich is going to say some words for Kolyan before you guys bury him. So you guys spend a little bit of time, and it actually starts to proceed in the day. The day is getting a little bit long. It's heading up maybe 4 p.m. or so. And you guys are spending a little bit of time to dig up a plot and bury Kolyan. Takes you a little bit of time. Do you guys want to do anything while presumably Zug and Ismark are digging a hole?
I think Ramis approaches Donovich and says, "I do not mean to pry into tragedy, but who else have we lost?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Who else have we lost?"
Donovich says, "Well, about a year ago, my son, Doru, and several other villagers stormed Castle Ravenloft in revolt, having been lured there by a wizard in black robes who came to Barovia from a faraway land. And by all accounts, the wizard died by Strahd's hand, and so too did Doru. But Doru returned to me, a vampire spawn."
Oh. Oh, that makes sense now. He's starving in the basement,
Oh yeah.
and his father has him locked down there because he's a fucking vampire.
Donovich
Great.
says,
Great.
I was able to trap my son in the Undercroft, where, as you heard, he remains now. And I've not fed him since he was imprisoned, and he cries out to me at all hours of the day and of the night. I pray day and night, hoping that the gods will tell me how to save Doru without destroying him.
And in our briefing on vampires, we don't know of any ways to lift a vampiric spawn curse.
You do not.
Okay. Ramis just nods sympathetically.
And Donovich says to you, who are aiding Ismark, what has brought you here?
Was it Irina?
Her name is Irina.
We are going to help move his sister, Irina. And it was her last wish before we depart to bury her father.
Donovich nods, and Donovich says, Kolyan found Irina at the edge of the Svalak woods, near the pillar stone of Ravenloft. She was but a girl then, and Kolyan adopted her and loved her dearly. So he's basically telling you that Irina is not the natural daughter of Kolyan.
Yeah.
Which Ismark also alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they take her in?
Donovich says, Kolyan was a very loving and kind man. The girl seemed to have no memory of her past, so Kolyan took her in and raised her as his own.
Have you known her since she was a girl?
Well, I have. I've known their whole family, their whole lives.
Do you have any thoughts of your own about her origins or why she might have been alone?
Donovich says, I do not know. Based off of the fact that she was found in the Svalak woods near the pillar stone of Ravenloft, she is most likely not a natural born village Barovian. She may have descended from ancestors in Valaki, but none of us know for sure.
Okay. Ramis would like to inquire as to the significance of these locations that he is unfamiliar with. The pillar stone.
Yes. So he's mentioned the pillar stone of Ravenloft.
The pillar stone.
So you've heard the word Ravenloft a few times. You've heard Castle Ravenloft. You've heard Pillar Stone of Ravenloft.
Yeah. So Ramis is like, he's assuming that the pillar is a part of the cloister of the castle. Like, so she was found near Strahd's lair. Is that where the pillar is?
She was found nearby the castle.
And what is the significance of the pillar stone?
He says, it is a landmark of which the village of Barovia was founded upon.
Tight.
Yeah. And Donovich continues and he says, shall we check to see if they are finished?
Zug will shout something, I am sure, to proclaim the completion of the task.
And as you talk to Donovich, you hear banging coming from the Undercroft. Father!
Donovich, do you mind if I talk to your son?
Donovich says, I've not gone there for over a year.
That's creepy.
Never seen a vampire spawn face to face. I'm just curious.
Donovich basically is like, You must not intend my son any harm.
Could I harm your son? Or would he harm me?
Donovich says, I do not wish to know what my son is capable of in this form.
Very well. If you are not comfortable with me talking to him, that is fine.
Donovich basically is telling you if you want to talk to him, like you can try. He hasn't. But he is like adamant that you don't hurt him.
Yeah, I think Ramis is.
If you ask to be like led to the Undercrofts, you can speak with him. Donovich will take you.
Yeah. Sindra, would you like to speak with a spawn with Donovich and I?
Give it a go, sure.
Donovich, could you lead us to your son? I'm just curious to learn about the workings of Strahd if we are going to help Irina.
So Donovich leads you to one of the doors that you saw when you first came into the church. It's the first door on your right when you enter the church. And in this room, there are punched holes in the ceiling. The room is moldy. There are several broken roof shingles amid puddles of water. And in one corner of the room, set into the floor, there is a wooden trap door held shut with a chain and a padlock. And you can hear Doru's screams of anguish through the trapdoor. And Donovich leads you into the room and he says, I lost the key to the padlock, but you could try to force it open.
Is he restrained down there?
No.
Maybe we keep it locked then.
Yeah, we will not be needing to open this lock. Perhaps it is for the best. Wait, so describe the scene to me. It's like it's just the sun is below a trap door.
Yes, he is in the Undercroft, aka kind of the basement of the church.
And we think he's pounding on said trap door.
He's pounding everywhere. He's like pounding on the ceiling, and he's just like screaming and wailing. Every like 5 minutes, he'll just wail.
Okay.
A lot of wailing in this town.
Yeah.
Wailing, yeah. People are wailing a lot.
I think he would be considered a port town.
I guess Ramis will shout out to Daru. Daru, what is it you hunger for?
Daru hisses in response.
Oh.
He's mad with hunger.
I'm just curious to learn about your plight.
Daru says, I can smell your blood.
Yes. It is the
What does it
blood
smell
of
like?
Asimar. I'm sure it smells quite nice. Daru, what? Do you remember how you came to be here? And why it is you are so hungry?
Daru yells back, I have not been fed in a year.
I could offer you some food if you would just tell me.
Daru says, you will offer me blood.
Yes.
And Dora says, I don't believe you.
I would like to persuade Daru into talking to me. Daru, I am a stranger to these lands, but I am no I am no thief. I come here to learn and to help. Even you.
Doru replies, if you wish to speak, come down here and offer it to me face to face.
Unfortunately, Daru, my face is a bit too precious to offer face to face. But also your father has lost the key to the door that would allow me to see you face to face. Could we still speak?
Doru says, I am not interested. If you cannot come down here, then you are lying to me about the blood.
Good luck getting fed, Daru. I wish you well. And I turn to walk away.
Yep.
He hisses again.
Enjoy your stay.
Who knows, an opportunity like this could come around for him again. So I was, oh, he's not interested.
Yeah. Can I like prestidigitate the smell of blood and just kind of like waft it over the trapdoor?
You can already
Just
smell
to
your
taunt
blood.
him.
Yeah, just give him one last little spritz.
Why are you
Before we
guys
head
such
out.
dicks? Man.
It's a vampire. Am I
He
supposed to be
didn't
nice?
choose to be a vampire. He went to slay Strahd.
I was trying to be helpful.
His
I was trying to
original
help out the
goal,
vampire.
like his dad told you, he was led to take Strahd down. He got turned.
Yeah, and he fucking failed. I don't need to be nice to him.
He's
say-
not stupid. Like, he's just hungry, and we just offered him to, like, we could have gotten a rat or something for him, and he was a dick to
or
us.
an owl.
Vampires.
Oh, that's not
Go
what my
to
owl's
owl.
for, but yeah, I guess. My poor owl. My owl's on my shoulder. He's not interested in such
No,
nonsense.
we walk away, and Ramis will taunt the spawn for sure. I check in on Zug's progress with the grave and offer to help if they're still going at it.
Zug is
Yeah.
done.
So by this point, they are finished digging the hole, and they are going to lay to rest Kolyan. And you have a small funeral. And during the burial, Donovich says, "We offer prayings to the morning lord in exchange for Kolyan Indrovich's deliverance from Barovia." And once Kolyan gets put into the ground, and you and Ismark starts to put the dirt back on top of the coffin, Donovich approaches the group, and he says, "Irina should be taken as far from Castle Ravenloft as possible. I propose that you take her to the Abbey of Saint Markovia in Kresk, or, failing that, the fortified town of Valaki."
He said, or the town of.
He suggests that you take her to the Abbey of Saint Markovia in Kresk, or, if you cannot make it to Kresk, to take her to the fortified town of Valaki.
What? Why? Because I think Ismark wanted us to take her to Falki.
Valaki,
Valaki.
yes. Ismark has said he wants to take her to Valaki, but Donovich is suggesting that you take her to the Abbey of Saint Markovia.
Which would be safer, in your opinion?
He says, "The Abbey is a bastion of good. I know she will be safe there.
Have you been there yourself?
He says, long ago. It has been quite some time since I have visited.
We will take her to safety.
Donovich nods to you and walks back into the chapel and continues to pray.
Ramis looks to Ismark for a lead.
Ismark says, we should go fetch my sister now that the deed is done. And you guys can... And he ushers you back to the burgomaster's mansion. And it is getting late, so you all should probably stay there for the night.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you guys approach the house, and Irina opens the door and welcomes you inside again. And she says, "Is it done?" And Ismark walks up to her and he hugs her and he says, "Father's laid to rest." And Irina lets out a sigh. And she says, "Well, we shall leave at dawn." And with that, next time on Curse of Strahd.
Woo!